This morning I got to practice some yoga. I did a workout class yesterday at Fit to Recover and my ass was so sore. So this class that I did today was about stretching my booty out and my hamstrings. And I was also thinking a lot about stretching my ability to be patient. Sometimes when I take a fold, like a forward fold, I think I can't stretch more, but I can always find a little bit more stretch. And same with my patience. Sometimes I think I'm at the end of my rope and I'm going to snap. But I can always come to my breath and find a little bit more space to be more patient and more compassionate with myself, with my children. So yep, stretching out my sit bones and my hips, doing a reclined pigeon. And then rooting the head of my femur bone into the hip socket always feels really nice. And then moving into a femur rooting reset for my sacrum, which I love. Supta B, waking up those hamstrings that I really tortured in a good way yesterday, and then doing it again on the other side. Meanwhile, Sage is eating some waffles and coloring and watching a show. I really enjoy doing this stretch at the beginning of practice. It's a really quick way for me to begin to stretch my muscles. And then I do the same thing standing after kind of shaking it out, which I love. So standing pigeon, and then I take this into a twist. This is really great for getting my glutes and hip flexors. And then standing utthita B. Broadening my sit bones back helps lengthen those hamstrings. And Supta utthita B, thigh bone back, extending out through the feet. And I move through a dancing warrior series here, coming through Virabhadrasana 2, modified Parsvakonasana, reverse warrior, chaturanga, curl cobra, downward facing dog. Here I'm really working to keep those sit bones back as I find length through my side bodies. And in my cobra, I'm working at extending from my hips through my toes as I curl my chest open. Sit bones back, side body stretch. Into Scandasana, one of my favorite booty and hamstring stretches, I make sure to keep that front knee slightly bent as I take my sit bones back so I don't hyperextend my front knee, so then I wouldn't get that same stretch. I also use my back elbow to pin my back knee towards the back of the room. That adds that inner thigh stretch on my back leg as well. More room for patience. Doing Scandasana again, but this time I take it into more of a forward fold. I'm still working to keep those side sit bones back. And then Ardha Chapasana with the quad stretch. To Parsvakonasana. It's so nice. Violet is sleeping in that rocker behind me while Sage is staying entertained. Sit bones back as I lengthen from my hips, my armpits, broaden, bow. Life is good. Ardha extending from my hips out through my feet, out through that back knee to get the quad stretch. And then Parsvakonasana, reverse warrior. I really love this. I take a blanket and I roll it up and I stick it as close to that knee hinge as possible and I sit my weight back. This is super healthy for the knees to reset as a joint, and it's also a great calf and hamstring massage. And then I'll take little intervals of moving that blanket roll back. Sometimes I'll do this by itself and I'll keep that blanket roll in its little section for 1 minute and I time it as I move it back. It's funny that I've been working on expanding my patience because Sage is about to test it and my balance. I was really proud of myself that I was able to connect with him and then return to my practice. And I'm thinking here a lot, make more space. You have more space to be patient and you have more space to be compassionate. And then I decide to go get him a coloring book. I come back to the practice, and then he starts to hit me with his coloring book. And I'm laughing because this is so hitting home to the intention. Make space. Be more patient. Be more compassionate. You always have more room to stretch. Whenever I take my bum back like this and I reach my sit bones backwards, it's really getting my hamstrings. I take it into a little arm balance. I do it on the other side, a quad stretch with a twist, rooting down through that back knee to get a quad stretch. I think I meant to say pec stretch the first time. Taking it into utkatasana, and now I take it into this twisted standing pigeon, sit bones back. And this arm balance is great as I push my foot into my tricep. It really helps activate those hip flexors. Oh, now hanumanasanas. This is like the perfect example of you have more room to stretch. And it doesn't mean your splits have to be the biggest ever. I like to just do these half splits, and I make sure to keep my front knee up and then take my sit bone back. And then I get just as big of a stretch as I go into full splits like I do there. But yeah, and these little half hanumans, toes back, knee up is your calf, and then sit bone back is your hamstrings. And I take them through these 3 foot positions to get each of the hamstring muscles, inner, middle, and back. And then I go into full splits here in a moment, and I'm just thinking, you have more space. You can hold this. You don't need to get out right now. Just like you don't need to scream when you get frustrated. You have more space to be patient and kind and gentle. Now Violet's up. Check to make sure the computer's working. Lunge. Eagle. Find your strength. Playing around with handstands. Rooting down from my heart through my hands and extending from my heart through my toes. Side 2. I really like eagle because you have this obstacle right in front of your face, but you're still asked to balance. It just reminds me of life. It's like you can't see where you're going, but don't fall over. And make space to be patient. Handstand. Parsvakonasana. Lengthening from my hips through my feet and from my hips through my head. Taking it up into Scandasana 2. Tripod headstand. Again, extending from the palate of my mouth through my head and the palate of my mouth through my toes. Oh, a little side stretch there in Trikonasana now that my hamstrings are really warmed up. And now I'm going to start engaging with Violet a little bit more. I never know how long these practices are going to be. I just kind of go until I can tell them I've worn out my kids' patience. I love, 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 love this. It's a glute self-massage. I'll do it on my hand or my forearm. It really helps warm it up before I go into pigeon. And then I take this little pigeon twist and then do it on the other side. So your glutes attach from the top of your ilium crest to your top of your femur. I'll point it out here in a moment. But that's what I'm kind of trying to hit as I use my hand and my forearm to roll around. And I'll get these little like, ooh, ah, that feels so good. And it helps me just get a little bit deeper of a release when I go back into pigeon. I take that pigeon twist, super yummy and intense from that glute killer class. Now I'm doing double pigeon. This is so, so, so intense, and I'm letting Violet play with my hair. She loves pulling at my hair. It's really adorable. I come into compass, or baby cradle, and then Surya Yantrasana. I do not do this enough. This was amazing. And then into an arm balance. I forget what that is called. And then taking it on the other side. Double pigeon, bowing forward, sit bones back, getting that inner thigh stretch, hip stretch. And then Sage comes over to play. He helps rock Violet a little violently, but she seems to enjoy it. And then I take that Surya Yantrasana on the second side into the arm balance. Oh, Ashtavakrasana, that's what it's called, 8-limb pose. So now I set up for a meditation. But first I'm going to get a little twist and a little bit more side stretch, and then I'm going to kind of wiggle into my new length that I've created. And then I get a little love puddle with children here. This was a really special moment after getting a little bit of time to connect with myself in my practice and remembering my higher self, and that I do have more room for patience and love. And then to be able to engage with my kids here from that space is really special. Getting to cuddle with both of them. Really fun. And now Sage is going to hold Violet on my lap. I felt like a little totem pole of love here. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Shortly after this, I spilled watermelon on the floor, which was funny because, more room for patience. Okay, thank you. Please like if you like it. Leave questions, comments. I appreciate you.